Pacquiao June 9th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, but we don't know much about him. Let's change that. Here he is.
Timothy, the last time I saw you, there were only talks. That was you preparing for a fight against Joel Casamayor. There were only talks about you maybe fighting Manny Pacquiao next, and now this is it. This is happening. Did you know as early as then that this might be a possibility?
You know, I didn't have a clue that I was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. I knew that I was in position. I knew I was one of the four front runners to face Manny Pacquiao, but I didn't think I was going to be the guy. I honestly didn't. But you know what? Thank God that I am. I'm very excited for this opportunity. I've waited on this my whole career, and this is the time for me.
How did you hear the news? What was your first thought? What were your first thoughts?
Well, you know, I heard the news through my manager, Cameron Duncan, the best manager in the business. You know, and my wife, and you know, he called us up and said, "Are you ready for this?" And I said, "For what?" He was like, "We got the fight." And I said, "Unbelievable." You know, I didn't want to get too overly joyed over the phone, but you know, once I hung up with him, I jumped up and down my wife, and I told her, "Hey, this is it." And she's like, "This is what you've been waiting on. You know, God has answered your prayers. You know what? You need to take full advantage of this, and you need to train very hard for this guy."
Okay, now fans have been clamoring for a Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight, and obviously that was in the works. And then when it fell through, you came along, the names came along. Do you feel a little bit pressure? How do you feel? Do you feel insulted? Do you feel a challenge to put on a good fight when people were expecting a Mayweather fight and then Timothy Bradley instead?
Well, if the fans ever see me fight, you know, and I'm sure the boxing fans know, I come to fight. You know, and, you know, fire with fire. So, you know, this fight, Manny comes to fight as well. So this fight's going to be explosive. I mean, you know, Mayweather, you know, great fighter, another great fighter in the business. It didn't happen, but this is the next best thing, you know. I'm a young, hungry, determined fighter, you know, who's hungry for the top, you know, and want to be the best. So, you know, it's going to be a fight.
You've had some difficult fights, but your last fight going into this fight was against Joel Casamayor, who was good at one point, but he was on his way down when you actually beat him. Does that figure? How are you going to prepare? Because Manny Pacquiao was obviously not Joel Casamayor.
Manny Pacquiao is tough. He's very fast, very strong, punches hard with either hand, you know, very fluent on his feet. You know, he's a great fighter, a tremendous fighter, you know, so I'm going to have to be on my A game, completely A game in there, and can't have a relaxed moment in the ring with him.
He said that he's going to prepare for your head. You have like quick head movements that have sometimes caused headbutts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you know, he needs to prepare for everything, you know, besides the head. He needs to prepare for my punches as well. You know, I think, you know, once we get in there, I'm going to shock him with my power, and he's going to feel that, hey, this kid can punch in there.
What aspect of Timothy Bradley is Manny Pacquiao going to have a difficulty on?
I just think, you know, my ring IQ. I'm very smart in the ring. You know, I make adjustments really fast in the ring. You know, I can move inside and outside. I can fight inside. I can fight outside. I can box. You know, I pretty much well-rounded in this game, and I think that's going to play a big factor in this fight.
And one last question. So much has been said about Manny's religiosity, and now he's even more closer to the Lord by reading the Bible. He's given me some passages earlier, and you speak about God as well. How much of a factor is God in your life?
Well, you know, God is everything in my life because, you know what? He died for all of us. So, you know, he's very, you know, I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual. You know, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and, you know, hey, I feel that, you know, religiously, I've been feeling like inside of me right now, I got to carry him into the ring with me in order to beat this guy.
So he says that he's with the Lord. You say you're with the Lord. Who do you think will God be on? You know, whose side will God be come fight night?
I honestly don't think God chooses sides. I think it all boils down to the fighters themselves, you know, and that's all it boils down to. It just boils down to the fighters.
Very well said. We also had an interview with Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum, and Freddie Roach. If you didn't catch that was aired last week. Catch us online, youtube.com/KababayanLA18. From sports to entertainment. When we return, don't go away.